And like, how can I let go of this? Especially when I've got Laurent right here proving to me every day that it's true. And Spirit says, facing it every day is more helpful than you imagine. Now you just have to decide what you will do with your mind as you face it. I recommend remembering firmly that you are facing your own belief about you. Remember that every time the idea of rejection is brought up in you. Remember that each time your mind strays to prop thoughts. Simply by remembering what you are truly looking at, you begin to dispel illusions. And that's the end of the conversation. So what Spirit was saying to me is, now that you've seen the cause, the real cause of your pain, I recommend you don't go back to the pretending, back to the illusion, back to the blaming. I mean, I can, if I want to, get up from a conversation with Holy Spirit and go right back into, but Laurent's, emotionally abusive. Not only that, I can find my friends to agree with me. They'll show up to agree with me. But if I choose to do that, I am refusing an opportunity to heal something that is very, very deep, and something that colors a lot of the stories in my life. Or I could do something that was actually very simple. It was a simple, simple request. Spirit said to me, I recommend. I love that. I recommend, right? So obviously it's my choice. I recommend remembering firmly. Remember this firmly in your mind. I recommend remembering firmly that you are facing your own belief about you. Right? That's what I recommend. Remember that you are facing your own belief about you. You aren't facing the rejection of a man that you loved. You're facing your own belief about you. He says, remember that every time the idea of rejection is brought up in you. That means every time my mind starts to tell the story again, I say to myself, in fact, this was the mantra I had remembered, and I think I told you guys a number of times that Spirit told me to say this mantra, but now that I'm looking at the message again, Spirit didn't tell me specifically to say the mantra. The mantra must be something that I made up to help me, because it's not here in the message. So I stand corrected. Spirit did not tell me to say this mantra. Spirit made a recommendation, and I made up the mantra in order to follow the recommendation. So I made up a mantra. It is not what Laurent is doing that is hurting me. It is my own belief in my own rejectability. That's the mantra I made up. It is not what Laurent is doing that is hurting me. It is my own belief in my own rejectability. And every time the story, and I mean every time, I was consistent on this. Every time my mind started telling me the story of how he hurt me, I would answer in my mind with, it's not what Laurent is doing that is hurting me. It is my own belief in my rejectability, right? Every time I passed Laurent in the house and I saw that look of hate on his face, I would say, it's not what Laurent is doing that is hurting me. It is my own belief in my own rejectability. When I would go to bed at night, and I would hear him a few minutes later coming out, because he knew the coast was clear, right? He could come out into the house without seeing me, I'd say, it's not what Laurent is doing that is hurting me. It is my own belief in my own rejectability, right? And I would just say it. Now, my memory says that this went on for a couple of months. So there wasn't an immediate healing in this case, but I was consistent. And then one day, my daughter and a friend of hers and my dog were at a park, And I was walking around, and all this time, by the way, the broken heart was still there. And if you guys who have ever had a broken heart, you know how it feels. So it was still there. And I was walking my dog in this park, and I could still feel the broken heart. It was still there. But it started to feel like there was a lightness occurring on the outside of the broken heart. Almost like the broken heart was surrounded by light. And I knew in that moment that it was actually healing. It wasn't gone yet, but it was the first time I'd felt some light around the pain. Very quickly, within a couple of days of that point, very quickly it healed completely. And I know that it healed completely for a couple of reasons. One is that my sight immediately changed. During that 2 months when I was walking around with the belief in my rejectability, when I looked at Laurent or thought of Laurent, I thought he was rejecting me. And I thought I deserved it. I thought I was the ugliest woman on earth. Why should any man want me, right? But once this healed, I looked at Laurent and I saw something totally different. I saw for the first time that he was in pain, and something inside of him was actually calling to me. Something inside of him still knew that I was committed to him on this path of healing, still saw me as the partner on the path of healing, and wanted very much for me to come and help him with his pain. I think the Course calls it a call for love. But I never saw that while I was caught up in my story that I was rejected. I never saw that something was wrong and that he needed help.